The spectacular Zaidorp cliffs stretch for more than 200 kilometers from the mouth of the Murchison River at Kelbarry to the end of Dirkhartig Island. Before jumping across to Dirkhartig Island, the cliffs end off on the mainland at Steep Point, which is also the westernmost point of the Australian mainland. Steep Point is located in the Shark Bay World Heritage Area, some 900 kilometers north of Perth. It's known as one of the best land-based fishing locations in the world and has some of Western Australia's most impressive coastline. Gal and I were fortunate to spend a few days at Dirkhartig Island earlier this year and spend an evening at Shelter Bay before catching the ferry to the island. I was so impressed with this rugged coastline that I needed to come back and spend a few days exploring and fishing this area. With minimal stops, you can drive the 900 kilometers from Perth to Steep Point in one day, ideally with 2 or more drivers taking turns to drive. You can be on the gravel in around 9 hours, after which it takes another 3 hours or so to get to Shelter Bay, which is a few kilometers east of Steep Point. Most of the campsites are located along Shelter Bay and are set back a few meters from the beach, with amazing views and a fairly good protection from the wind. Okay, that's enough about the venue. Let's look at the reason why we're here. When good mate Xavier Dunn called me and asked me if I wanted to join him and his boys for a fishing trip to Steep Point, there was no need for negotiating. Manie, Becca and I had been trying to arrange a fishing trip up north to this part of Western Australia for months, and when this opportunity arose, Manie was on board. The campsites here at Faultline and the Oven are very popular with most hardcore anglers. These campsites offer close access to the cliffs, which are perched over the deeper water, with easy reach to prize trevally, mackerel and even an occasional tuna. Fishing from these cliffs do have many risks and challenges, so if you're going to be fishing these cliffs, make sure you come prepared, not for the faint-hearted. As was expected, Manie was into the first decent fish for the week. Manie's been doing rock and surf fishing for many years. It didn't take long to realize that there would be additional challenges and hazards fishing from these cliffs during this week. It was pretty close, or this first snapper for the week was donated to the taxman. Jude providing an animated description of how close it got to Manie losing his first snapper to the shark.
Nice one, man. Nice.
And this snapper ended up being our dinner. And soon it was Xavier's turn. Xavier into a very decent fish. The boys ensuring their dad doesn't fall over the edge. Unfortunately, Xavier lost this very decent looking trevally. And this time it was Jude's turn to get into a decent fish. Probably not the best footwear for this type of terrain. Nice looking golden trevally. And Manie's back in again. Manie Becker is probably one of the best rock and surf anglers that I know. Most of what I know of this type of fishing I've learned from Manie. We've been fishing together for about 2 decades, and at least 1 decade of that has been in rock and surf. A decent golden for Manie. And Mr. Becker's into it again, but I think this one's going to give him a bit of a harder time than the previous ones have. having a hard time turning or even stopping this fish. With his reel rapidly losing line, he had no option than to tighten up and pull the hook.
Hey, man. I wanted to break it. Yeah, you were losing line, eh? But I lost all your afraid of that shot.
I could eventually get onto the other side of the lens and land a fish of my own. With my line being a little bit lighter than the rest, it was time to call in for the flying gaff. So, eventually got my Trevally out here with Manie today, Xavier and the boys. We're out at Steep Point, catching off the fault line. And this time it was Jared's turn to get into a decent fish.
Hey, man. Here you go, Jared. Let's see that. See that smile.
The old man couldn't be outdone by the boys, and it was pretty soon Xavier back into another decent fish. Got to get that fish up before the shark has it for lunch.
Was bist du dann? Where's Danke. Nice, man.
Now I can get to bed. Having 2 hours.
It didn't take long for the maestro to get into another decent fish. Have to fish on a pretty tight drag to keep the fish away from the sharks. Another spotted Trevally for Manie. Not a bad haul for a few hours fishing. Back at the campsite, and now it's time to clean the fish before we prepare the evening's dinner. Not much beats fresh snapper for dinner. And Manie's in once again. First fish for today, been battling a bit. Manie's got a nice golden Trevally there. Nice one, Manie, well done. During the afternoon we decided to do something different and use this rocky platform to flick some soft plastics and lures at the fish. I'll say, nice one. Xavier and the boys with their snorkeling gear hunting some fish with their spear guns. Couldn't have asked for better conditions than these. The water's beautiful. There was no way I'm going to allow them to have all the fun, and soon I was in the water joining them. Xavier's a seasoned spearer, so I felt quite comfortable being in the water with him. A flathead came into Xavier's sights.
Good fish. Tell me what fish they are.
Okay, so that's an estuary cod.
Yep.
It's decent eating. The only thing you can do with these rubber lips is put them in a curry to make them curry.
Okay, they call them rubber lips.
Yes.
These 3 duns aren't done yet.
Just started.
Good show, guys.
Manie releasing yet another cod. And Mr. Becker is into it once again.
Another spotted trevally for Manie.
It didn't take long for these bad boys to pull in, so we decided to pack up the rods, grab the cameras and go and take some pictures. And this concludes a fantastic trip to Steep Point. We've already decided that we'll be back next year, same time, same place, but more fish. See you then.